Hi everyone, it's time for another edition of Adams for the Love of Movie Picks. This time we will be talking about the movie Charlie St. Cloud, starring Zac Efron. It was released in 2010, so quite a while ago, but just finished rewatching it for the first time in a while. It's a really great movie. Storyline is really intricate and well done, and very emotional and powerful movie. Let's start with it's a lot of well-known actors in this one that you may recognize. Of course, Zac Efron being the star, but the movie's titled after Charlie St. Cloud. Kim Basinger, as his mother. Charlie Tahan, not a really well-known name, but you might recognize him from a few movies. He plays his brother. Amanda Crew, who's been in a few movies, plays the love interest in the movie. The only other one that you may recognize is a couple in this one. Donal Logue plays basically the love interest. Amanda Crew, their name is Tess in the movie, plays her sailing coach. Ray Liotta plays a paramedic in the movie. Donal Logue, he's been in Ghost Rider, the Gotham TV series as Harvey Bullock. The other one that you may recognize is Dave Franco. He plays one of Charlie St. Cloud's friends, Sully. A lot of really well-known actors in this movie. The storyline is a really interesting one. So the premise of the movie is Charlie is on the verge of finishing high school. He lives in a town like on the coast. I think it's in Massachusetts. Quincy Bay, I believe, is what the name of it is, and it's he's really good at sailing. He's actually good enough that he's earned a sailing scholarship to Stanford, I believe it was. Yeah, so he's on the verge of graduating. He's got a scholarship ahead of him. You know, he's a sailor. He's got a promising future ahead of him. His brother, he's quite a bit younger than him. He's 11. Is still one of the most important people in his life, and really has a love for his brother. And they really have a close bond that you can tell. There's a brotherly bond that they really share. A single mom raising them both, Kim Basinger. Shortly into the movie, unfortunately, Charlie and Sam are involved in a car crash. Not really Charlie's fault, just a tragic consequence. They're hit by a drunk driver, and Sam unfortunately ends up dying in the car crash. To some extent, actually, Charlie does die in the car crash, but he's brought back to life by Ray Liotta, the paramedic. Kind of a miracle. And after that, he discovers that he can see spirits. It's something that's been investigated theory in real life, that if you are a survivor of a near-death experience, that you are able to see the other side. You can see spirits. You're more in tune to the spiritual world. In this movie they use that, and basically he can, and he basically makes a promise with his brother. Actually, I should backtrack a little bit. Before the car crash, his brother is really into baseball, and he made a promise with his brother that it was really meant to be the summer before he went away for college, that every day they call it in this town, they have something called sunset cannons. Basically at sunset they fire off these cannons. That time every day that he would be practicing baseball with Sam. The promise ends up carrying over after Sam passes away. It ends up being this year-long commitment. It's not what it was intended to be, but Charlie just can't bring himself to break the promise to Sam. He discovers that he can see Sam's spirit and interact with Sam's spirit. So every day for 5 years, he does this. He fulfills this promise to Sam. In order to do this, he gives up everything. He gives up his scholarship, Stanford, his sailing career, everything, and becomes the caretaker of the graveyard in the local town and where Sam is buried. And it's in the woods just off this graveyard. Every day at sunset, at Sunset Cannons, he meets his brother in the woods to play ball with him, basically play catch. And it's really powerful, the bond that they carry on, even though Sam has passed on. There's enough of, I guess, a spiritual energy that he can actually physically manipulate objects. and have the interaction with Charlie. And yeah, it's not only Sam that he can see. He's able to pretty much see any spirit that is in the vicinity. He is the as I said, Dave Franco, who plays one of his childhood friends, Sully. Him and a few of his other childhood buddies basically joined the army, and they died in the military in the line of duty. They're buried in the cemetery, and he could see their spirits as well. So it's just, yeah, not just them. It's, you can see them. So yeah, he goes through this 5-year long commitment of keeping this promise to Sam. It's really quite powerful and emotional, and then of course the love interest of Charlie's life, Tess, comes along. Now they kind of know each other in high school. They were sailing rivals in high school, but she kind of went off and did her own thing. Now she's a big deal in the sailing world, and she's just come back to town to do some training before this big yacht race that I guess goes around the world. And during that course, she sails into a storm, and presumably, you think she comes back, because then you see her not long after. Well, Charlie could see her, but it's actually her spirit that he's seeing, and basically she is crashed and is dying on an island. And through Tessa's spirit and his realization that she's missing, he manages to find her, go out and find her just in time to save her life. But the consequence of this is that he has to finally break the promise to Sam that he doesn't intend to, but it's he has to in order to save Tessa's life. And it's kind of sad. It's a poignant moment in the movie because you got to remember Sam, even though he's passed on, he just doesn't really fully acknowledge that he's passed, and he understands that he's not alive. But it's because he's had this connection with Charlie for 5 years. He hasn't really felt like he's left the earthly plane and moved on to the next life. He's been connected to the world through Charlie. I should say also, not only when they play baseball, he talks about the current events, lets them know what's going on, because Sam's a big Red Sox fan. And they talk about current events. So Charlie has kind of been his anchor to the world. And it's he's still an 11-year-old kid, even though he's stuck as an 11-year-old kid. That's how he died, the age that he died at. And it's kind of sad when the time comes that that Charlie has to break the promise to him, and that Sam has to move on into the light and move into heaven, to the next world. It's still kind of sad because it's his time with Charlie and on an earthly plane is no more. And it's a really uplifting and emotional moment in the movie, but it's one that has to come. And as he goes on to the next life, he says that he yells out to Charlie that he loves him, and Charlie asks that Sam forgive him, and I guess in a way he does, and yeah, he happily moves on. So yeah, it's an emotional moment of the movie, but really well done storyline, and just the quality of the movie is well done. Obviously, with all the well-known actors, you would expect it to be a well-done movie. And yeah, highly recommend it. It's basically for any age group. It deals with some serious, mature subject matter, so you need to be of a certain age maybe just to understand what's going on and fully appreciate the movie for what it is. But yeah, it's still a great movie for pretty much any ages. Highly recommend it. And yeah, you can pretty much pick it up anywhere where you can get it, DVD, Amazon, or any kind of movie store. Not sure if it's available on any streaming platforms. It's something you guys would have to look into. But yeah, Charlie St. Cloud, great movie. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Have yourselves a good night. Take care.